Hi, this is Jeffrey Kerr at Kerr Financial Group. Today's Wednesday, July 17, 2024. Start with a paraphrase from a quote of Vladimir Lenin about weeks where decades happen. And we're certainly in a period where a lot of history is being made within a short amount of time. And also, that's taking place within the financial markets and specifically the stock market. Before we get into the history part of it, just a big day for the Dow yesterday, up 740 points. And that was led by United Healthcare. United Healthcare was up 6.5%. It's a $500 stock. So as a reminder, the Dow is a price weighted index. The S&P and Nasdaq are not price weighted. Price weighting means that the higher your price, the stock price, the more influences the index. So with UNH being a $500 stock and up 6.5% had a big influence. Caterpillar was up 4.25%, Home Depot almost up 3%, Boeing up around 4%. So some big movers. Interesting, Microsoft who's in the Dow, was actually down on the day. So it points towards this movement maybe away from technology and growth because the Nasdaq's been underperforming, and the Russell, which is the small cap index, small companies, is up 11.5% since July 9. So in about a week's time, up 11.5%. And some of the narrative about that is there's just too much. We've been speaking about this too much, Mag 7 concentration in the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, and so maybe there's too much got off. People are overweight that and need to rebalance, and they're coming into the Russell stocks, those names. Also, I've seen the narrative about lower interest rates are going to help these companies, and also the more likely that Trump is going to win in November, and that's going to help the economy too. But I think the history is important here, is that the Russell 2000 is now almost 4.5 standard deviations away from the 50-day moving average. If you don't know what those are, kind of look it up, but it's just overbought, and the most overbought by any index ever. I mean, the most that the Dow was 4.3 back in the 80s, and the S&P was just over 4% back in the 80s. Nasdaq most was on 3.6 standard deviation. So that doesn't mean that the Russell is going to reverse course and come down. I think it's interesting that this move has happened. I mean, the overbought conditions can kind of get worked off by a sideways trade in the future, days and weeks, and then maybe a resumption of the move higher for the Russell. Be interesting to see what's going on. Keep you posted. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk on Friday.